Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to the Off the Dome podcast. I'm super excited you're here because I've got some really cool stuff lined up for you. So you might be wondering, what's this podcast all about? Well, let me tell you. Here we dive into the incredible world of marketing, sales, and customer success for brands that are currently using HubSpot and their integrated marketplace apps. So imagine you're running a SaaS brand, right? And you've got your team, a fantastic platform, and then bam, you hit a wall. That's where this podcast and my team at Continuify come in. From conversations about marketing automations and accepting payments online to enhancing customer onboarding, this podcast is all about breaking down those barriers and boosting your game so that you can achieve more results and create better experiences for your customers. Here's the deal I'll make with you. You follow the channel and I'll help you in exploring how the best SaaS brands and creative minds leverage their resources and capabilities to not just survive, but thrive. Each week, we'll look at real life examples, innovative strategies, and tips that you can apply to your own projects. Whether you're someone who just got their Series A and wondering where you should invest your newly acquired resources, you've already launched your IPO, or you're just curious and wondering how you can get into SaaS yourself. I'll be sharing interviews with industry experts, real life experiences that'll blow your mind, and even some of my personal insights launching my own brand and helping SaaS brands scale from 1 million to 20 million ARR. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. But it's not just all about me and the guests on the show. I want to create a community where we can all learn and grow together. So don't be shy, hit that follow button and connect with like-minded individuals, and let's chat in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts, ideas, and any topics you want me to tackle. This channel is as much yours as it is mine. Plus, we're going to have some fun challenges, some Q&A sessions, and maybe a few surprises along the way. You see, launching and growing a SaaS brand using HubSpot and its integrated marketplace apps doesn't have to be boring or stressful. It can be inspiring and, dare I say, exciting, discovering new possibilities and hearing different ways of working that can make your work easier to do. So if you're ready to level up your HubSpot marketing and RevOps knowledge, or just want to gain some fresh perspectives, hit that follow button and let's embark on this journey together. Thanks for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you in the comments. So without further ado, on this episode of Off the Dome, we're going to be talking with Richard Leon. He is the managing partner over at Revenue Lions, a HubSpot sales consultancy. But looking through his repertoire on LinkedIn, it seems like he's got quite the background in sales, from security managers, general managers, technology recruiters, director of sales, and even starting out in the Marines in the maintenance corps. Richard, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
Hi, my name is Richard Leon. I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran. I have served my government for 4 years as a Marine and then 9 years as a government contractor. I got into the tech space from being a book publisher. That was my first venture as a government contractor. And I was like, I need to do another job at home, something that I would enjoy. I like books. I read, I don't know, a couple of thousand books in my lifetime, easy. And I used to be more voracious than I am now. Now I'm lucky to finish a book in a year, but my habits of reading have totally changed due to the internet. And now I'm just having conversations with AI all day, and I'm always chatting, reading, and editing and producing content and talking with the AI, and it's a totally different experience from what I grew up. And me growing up, I read a lot. I read a lot in junior high and in high school, the classics, all the mythologies, all the Orson Scott Card, Robert A. Heinlein, Isaac Asimov's Foundation series. Big sci-fi head here. Big fantasy person, Michael Moorcock. Read the Lord of the Rings trilogy. That was my bread and butter. Very fantasy role-playing background. I loved it. I even created my own tabletop role-playing game, which was my first publishing company. Afterwards, I decided, I want to digitize this. And I was like, well, that's going to be hard. And so I hired a team to try to digitize my role-playing game. And that turned out to be an adventure in and of itself. But I got hooked, and I was like, I'm bound and determined. So I've done all different sorts of roles within tech, and then been a technology business consultant for a while. I started that in 2016, 2017, moved in there and learned from a lot of people that were sales professionals from Rackspace and San Antonio area, Liquid Web, hosting companies out there. And it was really an interesting growth development of where I am today. And today, now I have Revenue Lions. My partner Allison and I run it together. It is a shop that's focused more on sales. than anything else due to my background. But before I did all that, I was building websites for people. I still build websites for friends and family and maybe a few clients, but I'm trying to get out of that game. In fact, I'm trying to get out of all the game and just focus on growing the business itself, because we have a lot of products coming out. We have a lot of SaaS software that we're developing ourselves. We are focused on really building this into a juggernaut of a company.
Nice. So you shared a lot. Obviously, the specialization is in sales. What's your take? Like, what's your sales philosophy? I know, like, going down the sales pipeline, my background being in marketing and kind of going in and trying to learn sales, it seems like everybody's got their own philosophy of how you should be selling to somebody, whether that be you're trying to be their friend or their consultant or their guru, or talk 40% and let the customer talk 60%. What's your take on sales?
Well, sales is one of those complicated things, and I've written a few articles about it. I think that people forget about the foundations of sales. They get lost in the sauce. I guess that's the best way to put it. Sales is about knowing someone and liking them and then building that trust bond. You have to understand that your network is super powerful. You need to connect and really work people as people, even if that person's not a direct connection for your next sale. They could lead to your next sale, and you need to treat people with respect. You need to treat them as a partner in a way if they fit your ICP. If they don't, then you need to at least treat them as a human being and as a friend. And so my philosophy is very simple. I listen a lot more than I talk when it comes to sales, and I make sure that I ask the right questions. In fact, sometimes the customer or potential client, the lead, will speak so much that I'll wind up only asking a few questions, but they got to be the right questions. And there's HubSpot is I've studied HubSpot sales after taking my own sales courses, and I've done disc training, and I've studied from several different sales schools and trying to figure it out. I think HubSpot has some of the best sales material out there, and I advocate for it heavily. I think that their sales management course was fantastic, and I took it, enjoyed what they have to offer in their fresh take. So I combine some of my own philosophy, which is the whole networking and opportunities philosophy, and that you got to create a strong network that is ripe with opportunities, and then you can pull them in. You also, I believe in the inbound philosophy 110%. I think you should be able to attract what you want, and that goes back to marketing and sales working together. So sales should be focused on hunting down and bringing in those big clients, whereas marketing should be figuring out what those targets are and then making sure that they're attracted. The right combination is a good sales and marketing tandem. Marketing, I treat it as the armory / the trappers. They create all the traps. They arm the spears and all the stuff that a salesman that's going out hunting needs. The hunter takes all that tools that the marketing creates, and then he goes after it. And he knows what his targets are. He knows his ICPs, and he's out having those great conversations. I like to lead with a few questions, and it's very simple. It's challenges, plans, and goals. The HubSpot teaches it. I started practicing it, and I noticed some very positive results. In fact, I'm able to get in and out of conversations at an event very quickly with the right people if I talk to the right people, and I'm able to discern. Discernment's huge when it comes to sales. You got to know who you should be talking to and who you shouldn't be talking to an event, and make sure you have that ideal customer profile in mind. So when I talk to them, I ask them three things. What are your goals for your business and your role in the business? What are your challenges that you might face? But I don't even go with the challenges most of the time, because if I ask for the goals and also what their plans are for those goals, that usually opens up the challenges. Just one or two of those questions usually winds up with the third. Challenges, plans, and goals is such a great way to actually engage and bring out that information. You're like, okay, you could probably use HubSpot. You're using spreadsheets. A lot of people are still using spreadsheets. You would not believe how many, as much as we preach all this HubSpot stuff, a lot of people are just doing an old-fashioned spreadsheet. They might use MailChimp, and they might hire somebody to do MailChimp at one point in time to send out some blasts, and then they're just like, well, it's not really working. Then I look at them like, did you do any A/B testing? And did you really test it and see if the customers are responding positive to this? You don't have enough data to do anything. It's all inconclusive data. There's no evidence of what your activities are. You're just shooting in the dark with the blindfold on. And I encounter that often. The thing is to do things correctly, there's a methodology to it. And my thing is that sales is a process, and it's a repeatable process. You can have the amazing conversations. You just have to be a decent, charming human being that actually cares about people. You don't have to be the best looking. You don't have to be, the smell nice and the prettiest. You should smell decent. But one of those things that my emphasis is do the process, repeat the process, know the process, adapt the process to any type of new prospects that are out there. If you can, at events, pre-qualify them before you even have a conversation with them. Try to get some pre-qualification questions in. See if they have that budget. See if they, try to get all that information out. Because the more time you just spend in a conversation in the beginning, figuring out if they match your ICP and that they actually are qualified to do business with you, the less time you're going to have to sit there and chase them down, hammering on the phone, talking all that stuff. It's just a matter of just doing the work beforehand. That's what I got for you. That's my methodology. And marketing and innovation are the two most important things about a business. So I've studied marketing a lot, and I believe in marketing. But the thing is, a lot of marketers don't understand how to work with sales properly, and sales sometimes doesn't even understand how to work with marketing properly. So there's this friction, and that friction, I've seen it time and time again. And people say, oh, we can get over the friction. And it's like, no, not really. You got to have a unified vision of where you want to go and what you want to do. And if it's not unified, then you're going to miss the mark. Right now, we know what our vision is for our primary focus for the companies on our website. We want the sales professional that's a champion of change to be the person that comes and does business with us, because we feel like we can support that champion of change, bring them in-house, and teach them the best methodologies for using HubSpot. In fact, I'm working on a sales professional guide, and I'm happy to share that with you and everybody, a free version of it, which is part 1. I'm going to have part 2 and part 3 come out later this year. And this is something that we will continuously update. And it's absolutely a fantastic tool. It's going to be a nice little PDF book, and it's something that will be searchable and usable by you and your clients. And they say, hey, I just need some type of introductory guide to kind of get into HubSpot because it's such an overwhelming beast. I'm a sales professional. Here you go. This is what you need.
Nice. Yeah, I know that I don't want to allude too much that the marketing and sales, it's definitely a relationship that needs to be built on. I know we're about to jump into that. That's the meat and potatoes of today's episode, is thinking through that relationship, MQLs, SQLs, and lead scoring. But to kind of take a step back real quick, I know when we were on the call, you asked me to prompt you with something, and I'm going to bring that up. What is Mr. Groundhog? Because even I don't know. And I'm like, all right, this could go one of two ways. It's either going to be really good or really bad. So I'm hoping it's the first. So what is Mr. Groundhog?
Mr. Groundhog was a gentleman that I met back in San Antonio in 2016. Before I got into technology business sales, I wanted to learn car sales because I feel like car sales is the foundation for doing real sales and technology business sales. And I wanted to know what they were doing and how they were getting deals done. Mr. Groundhog was a trainer and a good friend of mine. He is a veteran, an older gentleman in the 60s, very smooth. If you can imagine, a smooth black gentleman that always dressed up, and didn't dress like a pimp. He had nice suits and everything, but he was very immaculate, very dressed up, drove his Mercedes-Benz every day, and he was one of the best salesmen I've ever met in my entire life. He knew how to get the maximum profit out of any deal, and he would get it every single time. And he would get amazing paychecks, and I watched him do it. He was an influence on me because he taught me how to properly talk to people. And I don't like using the art of persuasion. I'd use a different tactic than he does. He's very persuasive. I'm more of, I like to limit options when it comes to sales. If you're talking to me, I'm going to give you some options, but I want to make sure that I direct the conversation the way I need it to go. But at the same time, I like people to want my services instead of me chasing after them, because it's a much easier relationship. And I'm more of when I sell HubSpot for my company, I'm building relationships. But Mr. Groundhog was, it was one time getting those sales in, selling those expensive cars, and he killed it. He absolutely was a beast out there, and definitely a high influence of me. And he even gave me the nickname Big Daddy Rich. So that's something to carry
So
that
that's
one.
where it came from.
Yep.
For those of you that don't know why I'm laughing, when we were talking about how to introduce Richard, he's like, "You can call me Big Daddy Rich." And I'm just like, I don't know if I want to do that on the air, but now you can clip it because I just said it out loud. I guess kind of building off of that, obviously sales is very much a numbers game. Before we jump into the meat and potatoes of today's video, last question is like, how do you deal with rejection as a salesperson? Are you one of those like, I'm excited to get the 50 no's because then I know I'm going to get the yes next, or like, how do you deal with it? I feel like that's the big difference between like a marketer and sales. Is like marketing, it's like I don't have like a one-to-one relationship with a lot of the people I'm marketing towards. So like, yeah, the rejection is the views and the likes and the comments and that type of engagement, but it's not as like personable as like you sitting in front of somebody and then just saying, "Hey, I'm not interested." Like, how do you deal with that?
I'll just ask them, just be direct with me and say, hey, why did you not go forward with us? And they'll tell me, budget constraint or time. You got to have that follow up. Okay, you didn't want to come forward with me. Maybe it was a bad time. Let's talk later. And you know what? A lot of times, instead of it being a direct no, it just gets shoved off. And then I'll pick up the conversation 6 months from now and see what's going on with them. And it's today's market is different from when I was younger, where people would just tell people direct no. I'm used to telling people a direct no, but a lot of times you'll encounter in sales, people will ghost you, just like in relationships now. That's why dating's so horrible. Nobody wants to tell people directly no, you don't fit me. They just vanish. And I'm like, okay, so I'll take that as a no. And then I'll just reconnect with them later. I'll send them emails and stuff like that. My thing is that you have to be careful not to let that no personally affect you. And you just got to take it with a grain of salt. Understand that they're humans too. And one of my final pieces of advice for that is you have to understand that it's not always about you. A lot of people take it so personally because they get in their feelings and be like, oh, it's all me. I did something wrong. To know. A lot of times you don't know what's going on their end. And this is where you have to sit there and go, how much could be going on their end? And what type of environment are they having? They might be having a very stressful time at the job. They might have lost their best client. Who knows? You have to be cognizant that it's not always about you, and let them be humans. That's it. And then and once you do that, then it takes a lot of that weight off, and you're not having to sit there and go, oh my gosh, I have to make sure that this is the ultimate, rejection, and that I'm a big failure, and you go hide off in your feelings. Just next. This is where it's a numbers game, and just don't take it personal, and then you just keep moving forward, and keep the relationship. Put it in the notes in your HubSpot CRM. 3 months from now, give them a call. See what's going on.
Right. That task follow up. It's the art of the follow up. It's really all it is. Like you said, I know a lot of times, like you see on LinkedIn, you see the 95-5 rule, where it's like 95% of the market isn't ready to buy now. And they might say no. And to your point, it's like, yeah, they might say no now. Like, try to understand things from their perspective. They're extremely busy. But like what you said, create the task for 3 months from now. You'll get that reminder from HubSpot to, hey, reach out and see what's going on in their world, and maybe things shifted around. Very cool. So thinking through, and probably the reason why a lot of people are here today, the main topic of discussion is MQLs, SQLs, lead scoring, hunters versus gatherers, and where do the BDRs sit? Like, this is the top of mind conversation. So I guess let's just think about it. I know earlier you were kind of alluding to the idea of trying to build a good working relationship with marketing sales. I know that's something I've tried to do a lot personally in the last few years, especially working in a SaaS environment, is having a good relationship with sales and also like customer success. Like, it's really nice having those feedback loops of understanding, especially as a marketer, like, what am I pushing out into the world that is it driving meetings for sales? And then more importantly, if someone does become a customer, are they sticking around long enough that you're getting kind of past that buyback period and you're actually making money from these people and driving LTV? Or are we attracting people that are kind of like churning out in the first 3-4 months? And it's like, all right, something's off with our targeting. Like, how do you go about at least from a sales perspective of like making those relationships and like seeing the value out of it from your point of view?
A lot of it is working with them and talking with them. The communication lines have to be open. If you're not using Slack, you need to be in Slack. And I'm going to tell you right now, asynchronous conversations with even my marketing guys and my sales guys is absolutely critical, because that helps us to keep the ball rolling and everything moving forward. The main thing is creating the ideal customer should be a joint venture between all three, and it should be refined. It should be an exercise you do together. All three teams just sit down, have a revenue ICP meeting, talk about what do you see in customer success? How is this customer acting, and are they buying more? And then you go to marketing, who's responding to our messages, our message on point. And so you got to look at that amalgam, that ICP, and figure out what kind of messaging is actually working. Here's a funny thing. Sales creates so much content that marketing doesn't even touch. And you got to dig into the sales emails that work. What is sales doing that's actually converting? What is the ICP listening to? Take those messages and see if you can put that in there, because as we know, HubSpot has awareness, consideration, decision making. But if that awareness and consideration is not on point in the decision making, it all needs to flow together with the same message. And when you're making people aware of the problem, that problem has to echo throughout, even when it comes to the decision making point. And it should be very quick to know that I'm aware of what's going on and why I need HubSpot as a solution, or whatever it is that you're providing. And that way it's very articulated, it's very clear to that ideal customer that they're going to get maximum value out of you, and that this is the right solution. Customer success is such a critical part that I think a lot of people just poo-poo and smooth over it. And I hate saying it, but they're what's going to keep your business lights on. They're going to keep the lights on, and you need to make sure customer success is aligned with sales. There is agreements. You can make an SLA inside of HubSpot if you have the professional package, and I highly recommend teams do the exercise. I also recommend teams they have a brand new buyer's intent. Get with your sales and marketing and work together to figure out what the TAM really is. Talk through everything. Have a discussion about it. There's no such thing as a waste of time when it comes to everybody staying focused on the sales objectives. All three departments should have the same objective: to bring the right customers in, close the right customers, and keep serving them and letting them become repeat customers. I mean, that's the formula. And you have to figure out how that engine works, but everybody should share the same revenue goal. And everybody should say, I'm making this revenue happen because of X, Y, and Z activities. And everybody needs to write down what they're doing, what their part is, because it is a team. And the best teams out there play together as a complete team. And you have to have a quarterback. And that quarterback should be your CRO. Or if they don't have a CRO, it might be your CSO. It might be your CMO. But there should be one quarterback. And that quarterback is the one that should help out, align all the different departments, bring everybody together, and make sure that there's honest and real discussions. It shouldn't be a top-down approach. It should be a collaborative approach.
Yeah, that reminds me a lot of the brands these days that are doing the OKRs, the objections and key results, where it's like you have these top-line objections that might come from the top, but then as each of the departments kind of sees that top-line objective that we're trying to achieve as a company, which is typically some sort of revenue or visibility if you're new to the game, then it's like, all right, like let's have this meeting where we have the marketing department, the sales department, the customer success department, all sitting in the room and understanding like, what am I going to do? What are my key results that align to this objective? And then it also helps that like, then everybody knows their swim lanes.
Yep.
Because I feel a lot of times what makes it difficult to have that cross-department conversation is that people don't know what their responsibility is. And then when something goes south, it's like, all right, let's blame the other department. And then we become enemies because we're butting heads. But like to your point, if you have that clear objective, the key results for each department, who's in charge of what, who's responsible for what, then it's like, all right, this is the game. And then, like I said earlier, having that feedback loop that, all right, am I pushing over quality leads to sales that they're booking the meetings and they're actually having success and they're getting yeses and driving customers, and then success seeing, hey, like this person came on board, sales didn't over deliver on promises that the platform can't do.
Yeah.
And now we can get these quick wins for them as soon as they get on the platform, that they become raving advocates. And now they're sharing with their friends, hey, you need to get on this platform. It's that cohesiveness that just makes a beautiful machine. But I guess thinking back on that, when it comes to, I know HubSpot has its language that somewhat causes problems with people. You kind of alluded to it earlier with the awareness, consideration, decision making. They also have the lifecycle stage where it's like subscriber, lead, MQL, SQL, opportunity, customers. When you're thinking through, and I know this is also something that's highly debatable on LinkedIn, because a lot of people are like, the funnel's broken, the funnel doesn't work, the stages doesn't work, it's not a linear path. It's like, yeah, that all makes sense. But it's like, there is like, I mean, like you said earlier, it's a relationship, and there's usually some sort of like linear progression of how a relationship becomes from, hey, I just met you and this is crazy. Sorry, Katy Perry. But to like saying, hey, I actually like you and I want to buy from you. Like that is a fairly linear. It might jump all over the place, but there's some consistency to it. So I guess my question would be, it was like from a awareness, consideration, decision making, MQL, SQL, opportunity, whatever you want to call it, potatoes, like where do you typically, when you're consulting with your clients, how do you kind of orchestrate all of that? I know we were talking about lead scoring, but like, what do you think in your mind is like the qualifications for each of the stage, and what determines something going from a lead to an MQL to an SQL and then obviously an opportunity?
I think if you look at it, the best way I would put it is, think of marketing as the giant bucket of engagement. And everybody's going to engage with marketing. No matter who or what, you're going to engage with marketing. And the thing is marketing is its own process of awareness and preparing people for the actual sales. And this is where lead scoring comes into place. That's why buyer intent, I'm sorry, I'm going to talk about it again. I love the tool. I started using it the other day. I've looked at it several times. They've now fleshed it out a little bit more. Highly recommend people go into the tool and start creating their TAMs and creating their ideal customers and clients. See who's hitting the website, and then figure out, this is where sales and marketing can work together. It's like, what would make for a person to go from, all right, I'm just looking around, I'm perusing, I'm aware of the idea, I'm not ready to make a commitment, I'm not even ready to sign up for your marketing letter. Yeesh. I'm just kind of checking things out. And then this is where marketing should understand who the heck's visiting the website and what are they doing? Who's visiting our LinkedIn page? What are they doing? And you got to have that data coming in so you know, all right, like I have one customer right now that's been pinging my website for, the last 3 months as I was rebuilding it. And now that it's rebuilt, I can tell that they're pinging it some more. And I'm like, okay, they're not quite ready, but it wouldn't hurt to just send out a little poke and just see what the heck's going on and see if they are ready to have a cup of coffee. And that's a very simple ask from a sales perspective. And that's where the lead score is built up enough to where they've made some intent. They've looked through some pages. They've read some things. They spent some time on the website. Now it's time to possibly see if they're ready for engagement. And of course, the best intention for lead scoring is, hey, they booked a meeting or they filled out a form. That's what you really want. And at the end of the day, if they're not doing that, then they're really not ready yet. And this is where, what if you could sit there and actually meet with those people at one of their events and say, oh, this company's hit me 15 times. They're hosting an event over here. Let me go physically visit them. Nobody thinks of that. And this is what sales activity where, hey, let's go see if they qualify to become a lead. This company has actually visited our website several times. They have an event that they're hosting. We should probably make a presence there. And this is where you can kind of pull that out of the marketing bucket into the sales bucket. And that's the prospecting. And it's an art. It's not, even though sales is a process, and it absolutely is, you have to understand that there are sometimes you can break the rules a little bit, but a lot of times just following the process will get you good results. And in my opinion, for somebody to be totally aware of their own problems and they're ready for sales to engage with them, that's when you get to the engagement part. They have to build up so much of a lead score. The best leads, though, they're the hand raisers. They're the ones that say, hey, I'm ready do business with you guys. And that's usually they fill out a form or they'll book a meeting. And I've noticed that my meeting calendar gets booked a lot more than the forms being filled out. So that tells you something right there. I know a lot of people don't like their calendar getting filled up, but your sales rep, it should be a round robin setup. It's very easy to do. Set up your website so that way they click on that button, it's going into the meeting calendar, it's getting them ready so that way you have pulled them out and now it's time to let's qualify this lead. And then that's where sales picks in with engagement. Now they're actively engaging. It's not just awareness anymore. Marketing's done their job. And this is where sales should be providing what are these customers responding to? Because as a frontline person, sales is out there one-on-one with those customers. If they're actively engaging them, what message is resonating from marketing? Ask those questions. It's very simple. It's like, hey, where did you notice this at? Oh, you noticed this on LinkedIn, our LinkedIn page. Great, you follow our LinkedIn page. That's great. And so what caused you to come to our website and check it out? It's like, because of such and such. Noted. Tell marketing so that way they know that that's the message that's working. And this is where sales and marketing need to be talking to each other. This is where if I'm a hunter and I'm out there in the forest and I got a club and I got a spear, I try to use a club. It didn't work as effective, but the spear was really good. Then I go to marketing. It's like, man, this spear is working really well. Sharpen it a little bit more, and let's keep reusing it because this spear is really a fantastic tool, and I'm able to pull my game down. And this is where we should treat it as such. Marketing and sales should have a nice, lively relationship, and they should be talking about customers. Marketing's just on that back end. They're the ones that are helping out the sales and enabling sales. So that way, when they engage, they're engaging correctly. If you're not engaging correctly and you feel like everything's falling apart, then you have to figure out why the tool's not working, what's sales doing. And sometimes it takes recorded calls. And marketing should not be afraid to listen to a recorded call. In fact, I would recommend if sales is doing a lot of recorded calls and they're having a low close rate, have the sales manager and the marketing manager listen in and see, is it the messaging or is it that person? And then, make a decision accordingly.
Right. What's nice is that you can do all of that on HubSpot now. It's like you can sync all of your phone numbers in HubSpot. All of the phone calls get recorded. You can actually create a playlist of like the best conversations. So like new salespeople come in, they have to listen to those recordings. And then if you're on a meeting, like in your Zoom or Google Meet, throw some Fathom or Firefly note takers in there and have a conversation. And like to your point, as a marketer, I can then go in and see those conversations. And it's like, it's always fun, like when you're trying to figure out how to position and what to say forward facing on the website or social media. It's like you have you're trying to be good for SEO and now you have all the AI programs. But then like, if I can get access to those meetings or those call recordings, like I can write in the language that the customer is speaking and it'll actually appeal to them more. But otherwise, it's like if I don't have that or a working relationship with sales, it's like I'm kind of just making stuff up and I'm probably going to take it more of a SEO angle, which is not going to sound good. Who goes in the room and be like, hey, listen to our revolutionary AI program? Like who says that in real life? Like nobody. Yeah. So it's good like seeing those notes that I can actually like use natural language in the marketing material that people actually appeal to. So that's a good feedback loop.
Have that feedback loop. And in fact, if you have sales actively engaging on the front, take Friday afternoons to have that meeting and make it okay. Let's do that. And then, have somebody else do CRM grooming with the sales team and looking at these leads and cleaning them up. The thing is, sales will leave a huge mess out there. And so sales should be meeting in the afternoon of Friday and say, all right, let's have a sales and marketing meeting. Let's go have a beer and let's go relax for a minute and talk this through. And then afterwards, sales should be meeting with your data guys, whoever it is that's cleaning up the data, your sysadmin for HubSpot, and just sitting down and talking about this is what happened this week. Let's go ahead and look at these customers right here and clean them up and make sure that the notes are right. Sales has to take excellent notes and they have to be on top of it. They have to be on top of their task. And if they're not, they're going to fall behind very quickly in this data age.
Right. I know we're coming up against the time now, so I'm going to throw this last question in here that I know we personally have kind of went back and forth on this, and you see a lot of SaaS brands experimenting with this. But what are your thoughts on where a BDR or an SDR, whatever you want to call them, business development rep, sales development rep, for those of you that don't know the acronyms, where do you see those sitting? Because it's interesting that some SaaS brands are like having them sit in marketing, but traditionally they've always been like a sales
They should
department.
be still in engagement mode. Your BDRs and SDRs, there's a delineation between the two. A sales development rep should already have an ICP and already have a sales playbook. They should have everything dress right dress. This should be a well-oiled machine. You know who you're talking to. Business development rep is different. And here's the differentiator. You're looking at new target markets. You're looking at new sets of customers. And this is where your BDRs will dabble in the marketing, but they shouldn't. This is where your BDR should be so focused on networking events. They should be focused on outreach, personal, and they should be working with marketing to craft special emails, special landing pages just for this new TAM. You should have material that focuses on every type of ideal customer. And it goes back to the customer. People keep forgetting about the customer when the customer is what builds your business. And if you're not focused on the customer when you're working on these products, what are you doing? So the business development rep goes after new types of customers, new types. Sales development rep focuses on the existing customers and what's happening right now. I recommend that both types need to be working with marketing. BDR more so. BDRs need to be side by side with marketing. Marketing should be a guy that or gal that has excellent verbal skills. They should have excellent AI capabilities. They should have excellent content creation capabilities. And they should also understand CRMs like HubSpot. They can do the automations, they can do setups, and they can work with the BDR and say, hey, look, this is what we're going to do for you to go after this new TAM. I'm going to do some study and some market research, things that need to happen on a continuous basis for this new TAM and get it down so that way you can start having the right conversations. And then the BDR is actually like your listening feedback. It's your echo, it's your ping. And that way the marketer that's focused on that new TAM is like, all right, BDRs, go out there, do your thing. All right, so what happened at the event? What kind of notes, what kind of actions did you have? Did you meet anybody that meet our TAM? So on and so forth.
Makes a lot of sense. I know as a marketing, I always see those roles and I'm like, what is the difference? Like, I never even thought of it that route, that like a BDR, to your point, is like new TAM, new markets, new verticals.
Yes.
Where your SDR is primarily focusing in the, I guess, the pool that you've already declared this is where we live.
Correct.
So
make sure that both teams are armed and you want to keep the message fresh. So the SDRs should be training to re-engage the people in a new way. So you want to work with marketing. Hey, what's the new campaign for this quarter or this year? We got a new campaign for this year and we're going to engage the customer in this fashion. Marketing talks to sales like, okay, so yeah, the message has changed. Let's say the customers changed. It's the same set of customers, but they've changed their needs. I mean, here's a perfect example. I think that search engines are totally changing. Honestly, Google's probably going to have an uphill battle now. And that's unusual because Google used to be the champ and it was the champ for so many years. But now I'm seeing Grok, I'm seeing OpenAI, both significantly jumping into that search market. And honestly, that's where the money lies. It's still going to be ads are going to come off of those searches. I guarantee you. And that's ad revenue is not a game that's going away anytime soon. And this is where those people selling the ads, those sales reps are going to be like, you got a sales rep for Grok. They can actually prove that, hey, this stuff is selling. Look at all the engagement that we have. Look at all these people using Grok 3, which is brand new. And look at OpenAI. They have, ChatGPT 4, and they're actually working on more. Look at how much engagement is there. It's absolutely amazing. And Google's going to fall far behind if they don't refocus and tool up their sales department to start really going after these larger clients, which is what their TAM is, these big clients that want to advertise with them and say, hey, look, we have Gemini. Let me show you how Gemini really works for you. Let me give you some real demo and stuff. Let's start re-engaging. And there's a battle for hearts and minds. We're not in the old days of sticks and stones anymore. That's why I use the old references. Now we're just battling with words and ideas. This is fifth generational warfare that's happening. And I know the old Marine comes out of me, but it's you got to understand you're fighting for your business's life, and you have to make sure that you're competing at a great level, and that you know your TAM, and you know your customers, and you know that you're going to involve with the customers, because the customer is evolving. The market's changing. You need to change. Your message from 5 years ago is not going to work today.
It's like, the feeding troughs are entirely different, and they're a lot noisier feeding troughs that you're going to. It's interesting how a lot of brands are becoming very niched, and obviously buyer personalization is very top of mind now. ABM marketing, ABM sales, being able to cut through all the noise, because I saw the other day, like, the amount of emails someone gets or the amount of advertisements someone sees every single day. It's crazy.
It makes you sick to your stomach. I subscribe so much, and that's not how you do sales, and that's not how you do marketing. I think that you need to make sure that it's relevant content. And there's a guy that I really like his content on their air traffic control. I'll mention them briefly. I love his content, Nick, and he's right. It's got to be a relevant conversation. I'll be honest with you. If you're not having relevant conversations, that customer's going to get fed up and be like, I'm done.
Exactly. Well, I think that's going to conclude today's episode of Off the Dome. I know we are all over the place, but I hope some people got some good nuggets out there. I got some. I mean, I learned SDRs and BDRs as a marketer. I just never understood the difference, and now I do. And then even thinking through working relationships with marketing, sales, customer success, you need to have those feedback loops if you want to survive in 2025. It's a little bit of a rhyme there. I guess I'm a rapper now. But
what I want people to understand is this is not a solo play anymore. If you're going to build a company, you need to build it as a team. Yes, there are people that are geniuses and that can use Grok or other AIs to build their own little startup and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's a team effort. This is team play. And you need to make sure that you're playing as a team.
Right. Well, I want to thank you, Richard, for jumping on the show and recording this episode with me of Off the Dome. Speaking of a team effort, I'll let you do your shameless plug. What's your team working on over at Revenue Lions right now?
Revenue Lions, we are focused on champions of change. We are focused on those sales champions, energy, oil and gas, also SaaS. We want to support those people that are in those positions that really want to bring a HubSpot environment to their organization. I believe that HubSpot is one of the best CRM tools out there. I love doing apples to apples comparison because I usually blow people out of the water when I do it. And I'm happy to do demos. So if you need a free demo, hit me up. Just go to my website, revenuelions.com, click on the meet button, and I'm happy to take a meeting with you. And we'll make something happen. I'll even jump in and do a demo for you if you want.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Richard. Revenue Lions, everybody. This is another episode of Off the Dome. If you liked the video, definitely follow and subscribe. And until next time, keep building.